Hi there, my name is Peter and I am a freelance filmmaker that's based in the beautiful islands of Hawaii. Now, as most of us know, gear is a pretty important part of this filmmaking business, and in this day and age we live in the land of options. Too many options in my opinion, but hey, I'd rather have options than none. Now, depending on your line of work or just the specific role that you might be in or the department that you work with, cinema lenses might not be in your everyday conversations. But I have to say that the camera lens, or as we like to call it, glass, is probably one of the most important gear that you can own. Some might even say that it's the best investment that you can make in your filmmaking career. And I have to agree with them. Because no lens, well, your camera is just not going to be able to produce an image. Now, cinema lenses in general are going to be very expensive because it's just, the way it's built, how it's built, the materials that they use, and just how precise each lens has to be, and just the list goes on and on. However, thankfully, like cameras and equipment for the most part recently have gotten way more affordable over the years, and so have cinema lenses. Now, there are plenty of other videos out there discussing in depth about cinema glass, but today I will be talking about a cinema lens from a company called Irix. Now, Irix has been in the business of making photo lenses for quite some time now, but actually recently, I'd say in the past 2 to 3 years, they have released 4 cinema lenses. We have the 11, the 15, the 45, and the 150mm macro lens, with more lenses to be announced in the near future. Now, Irix did send me these out to test and to share my thoughts. I'm not getting paid to make these reviews, and I have the ultimate freedom to share my unbiased, honest opinion. There are 4 lenses, so there will be 4 separate videos, so make sure you check them out as well. Now, I've had these lenses for about 2 weeks now, and I put them through its paces, tested the limits, examined its flaws, you name it, I did it. Well, I didn't do a drop test, so not everything, but because I do have to return these lenses. But in these reviews, I will cover key features, focus breathing, flare, bokeh, and we'll pixel peep to see how sharp these lenses are and see if there are any distortions or any chromatic aberration. So let's just get right into it and check out the 11mm T4.3 by Irix. Now, I really like their packaging. As you can tell that they put some thought into it. I like the fact that, right off the bat, you see all of the contents that will come in the box, as well as all of the features of that lens. In the box, you receive a good old manual, like an actual nice physical manual. You don't really see that nowadays, but you also get a foot with 2 screws and an Allen key. And what's nice about this lens is actually all of their cinema lenses is that you'll have an option to mount the foot on the bottom or the top of the lens. Now, build quality seems very good. Personally, I like heavy cinema lenses. It's probably a psychological thing, but something that's lightweight can seem cheap. Obviously, that's not true with everything, but I like that it's heavy. So looking at the key features of this lens, the weight comes in at about 1,105 grams. That's about 2.5 pounds, so it's got some weight to it. All of Irix lenses are made out of high-grade aluminum housing with all-metal internal construction, with the exception of this adaptive ring, which is a pretty cool feature to have if you're using like a certain focus motor or gear, as it allows it a little bit more room. First off, this lens is a T4.3 all the way to T22 with 9 aperture blades. Now, according to Irix, for them to achieve this excellent optical performance while maintaining a reasonable weight in this price segment, they were able to settle at T4.3. Like most cinema lenses, it has an aperture ring with a standard 0.8 gear pitch with 75 degrees throw. The rotation is nice and smooth with good resistance for both aperture and focus rings. The focus ring is also really nice with a focus throw of 180 degrees. From top to bottom, this lens is about 105 millimeters, that's 4 inches. I really like the fact that it's compact and just the perfect size. All of this information can actually be found on their website at irixlens.com, and I really like their website as it's really easy to navigate, and all the information that you ever need for each lens is on there. Now back to this beautiful 11mm lens. It has a 95mm front diameter, but as you can tell, you won't be able to screw on any filters on it because the front element is protruding. Now this next feature I found really impressive, and in fact all of their lenses has this, and that is that their lenses are weather sealed. And I just find this pretty amazing, and I think pretty rare on a cinema lens. All of Irix lenses actually cover full frame and are all 8K ready. Now for all of these 4 lenses that I'll be testing, I went with the EF mount, as I will be pairing it up with my red Komodo. Now Irix does make an RF mount, which the Komodo has a native RF mount, but since most of the glass that I own is EF, I went with EF. Now another reason why I went with EF is because there are several companies that make an RF to EF adapter with a variable ND in it. Now what's so great about that is that you don't have to really worry about screwing on an ND in the front and deal with step up rings and step down rings, but especially with this lens, you're going to need that ND behind the lens because you won't be able to screw anything on this guy because of the front element. Now the Komodo sensor has a crop factor of about 1.3, making this 11mm lens roughly a 14mm full frame equivalent. So let's just take it for a spin and see what this bad boy can do. Now I was able to take advantage of this ultra-wide 11mm lens by showcasing this $5 million home in Hawaii. Now at T4.3, this is obviously not a fast lens, but when you're trying to capture, say, the beauty of a landscape or architecture, you don't really need a super shallow depth of field because you want everything in focus. Speaking of focus breathing is present but not overly exaggerated, and at this wide of a lens it's pretty common and in my opinion totally acceptable. Bokeh is nice and round starting at T4.3 and throughout higher T-stops. Flare is controlled pretty well with some nice red and green orbits in the middle. Chromatic aberration is there if you really pixel peep, and of course in those backlit shots, but it's controlled pretty well considering. Also, there's no vignetting on my Komodo, so that's really good. It's just one less thing to fix in post. Perspective distortion, or the pincushion effect, is obviously there, being that it's so wide, but the barrel distortion is actually controlled really well. Now I do believe that this lens is meant for a specific type of work, like landscape shots or even real estate, or if you just want that unique perspective. It's not meant for everything, but I think most of us know this. Overall, I really like this lens. Build quality is solid, it's nice and compact. Now the price in the US for this lens is about $1,195. So for less than $1,200, I think this is priced really well. It comes in almost every mount that you need. It's weather sealed, it's 8K ready, it's ultra sharp. Irix has dealers in North America, Europe, and Asia. And so for more information about this 11mm T4.3 ultra wide Cine lens, please visit irixlens.com. Thanks for watching, and make sure you check out my other reviews on the 15, 45, and 150mm macro cinema lens by Irix.